Hi, and welcome back to the Foundations of Yoga series. My name is Claire. I am a 200-hour registered yoga teacher, and this series is being developed as a way to give young yogis, less experienced yogis, or anyone who wants to reacquaint themselves with the practice a more in-depth look into a lot of more popular poses that we use within our yoga practice. While yoga is primarily a mental practice, it has evolved into a physical practice. And if you are engaging in the physical practice, it is best for your body and your health to make sure that you are entering into the poses in a safe way, knowing the structure and the foundation of the poses, what the pose should look like, and any orientation of your body is going to help you do that. If you haven't seen it already, the first episode of this series covered Surya Namaskar A, our sun salutations, which is a great warm-up to do yourself at home. It's also a very common form of the sun salutations you will use in a vinyasa yoga class. Today we are going to cover our Virabhadrasana poses, our warrior poses. This is Virabhadrasana 1, 2, and 3. Now, depending on whose class you take, where you take class, you may have also heard of Exalted Warrior, Humble Warrior, Rainbow Warrior, any number, because all sorts of teachers adopt different things based on what they were taught, what they've heard, and so on. But Virabhadrasana 1, 2, and 3 are the main warrior poses, and you will use likely all three of them throughout a single class. And there's enough difference between the three, I think it's important that we review them in this next episode. Let's get into it. So while they are numbered 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to go through them out of order. And this is because in my experience, going 2, 1, 3 is the most common way that we see them laid out in a class, and also the popularity with which they're used. I think I learned Warrior 2 way before I even knew there was a Warrior 3. So for Warrior 2, this is an open standing pose. This means that our body is existing in an open plane. Our hips will be open towards the side of the mat, and our toes are pointing in 2 different directions. I'm going to walk you through the structure of each pose, and then we can talk about different ways to get into those poses. For Warrior 2, your front foot, and I'm going to use my right foot for the sake of, well, I guess I can just face that way. I'm going to use my right foot. Take your right foot and place it with your toes facing forward towards the top and center of your mat. Your back foot is going to be a comfortable distance towards the back of your mat. The separation of your feet will depend on how deeply you want to bend into this pose. If going deeper is more comfortable, have a wider stance. If you don't want quite as deep of a bend, bring your feet closer together. Finding a comfortable width, front toes facing forward, back toes are pointing out anywhere from parallel with the back of your mat to a little bit of a 45-degree angle. You do not want your toes facing forward, you want them facing out towards the side of your mat. If you look down at your feet, the heel of your front foot, if you draw an invisible line down, should be bisecting the arch of your back foot. Move your back foot forward and back according to facing this way, depending on how you need to adjust to get that alignment between your feet. If you place your hands on your hips, you're going to feel the points of your pelvis, and you'll notice they are facing out. We're not facing forward, we're facing out at about a 45-degree angle from the direction in which our front knee is facing. And this is just an anatomy thing, I think it would be really uncomfortable to do this and try to face forward because you have one foot facing forward and one foot facing out. So your hips are naturally open. Your chest is in line with the direction that your hips are facing. Your hands come up to a T, front hand reaching towards the front of the mat, back hand reaching towards the back of the mat. And as best as you can, you want to align your hands with your legs. I know my backhand tends to travel this way a little bit, and it's also a really good shoulder stretch to make sure that it's staying back there. And then your gaze will come over the fingertips of your front hand. And this is Virabhadrasana 2. Now we will look at Virabhadrasana 1, which is very similar, but a neutral stance compared to Warrior 2. For this one, start facing the top of your mat. Bring a foot of your choice. Again, I'm going to use my right foot. Forward a little bit on the mat, but keep it, in my case, right of center. Step your back foot just a little bit back. This is a much narrower stance than Warrior 2. And your back foot is going to be, again, on a 45-degree angle. And you want to keep your hips here facing forward. So, depending on your individual ankle flexibility, it may feel really uncomfortable to keep your hips forward and turning your foot out. So whatever you need to keep your hip points facing forward towards the top of your mat, turn that back foot in more. And then bend into your front knee, keeping the knee above the ankle for good alignment. Hips. Shoulders are above the hips and arms reach up overhead. Warrior 1. Keeping your feet where they are will be an easy transition into Warrior 3. We shift our weight into our front foot. The back foot lifts off the ground, coming as parallel to the floor as your own flexibility will allow. Chest kind of like a teeter-totter, right, with your back leg. So as far as your leg goes up, your chest should come down the same amount, moving towards being parallel. Finding a balance in our standing leg. Back foot is flexed or pointed, and depending on what's comfortable for your shoulders, reach your hands out long in front of you. Bring your hands to prayer at heart center. Maybe cactus the arms. And here is Warrior 3. So now we have reviewed Virabhadrasana 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to show you how I would recommend getting into these poses from a downward dog. Coming to finding your downward dog, pressing through the hands, a gentle bend in the knees, heels are reaching towards the ground. Inhale to lift your right leg up into the sky. Pull that knee up into your chest and place your foot between your front hands. Inhale to rise up, planting the back foot on an outward angle. Hands come up to a T, shoulders are stacked over hips, gaze is ahead, Warrior 2. Let's return to a downward dog for Warrior 1. Starting in our downward dog, lift your right leg up high to the sky. And this time, pulling your knee into the chest, place your toes behind your right wrist. This naturally puts us already in a much narrower stance. And then as you rise up, pull the back foot forward just a little bit, keeping the feet on separate train tracks rather than in one line with warrior two. Bend into the front leg, front knee, not going past your toes. Back foot is out at a comfortable angle. Arms reach up overhead, warrior one. Shift your weight into your front foot. Begin to lift the back foot up off the ground, finding a comfortable bend in our standing leg. Back foot flexes, hands remain reaching towards the front of the room. Warrior three. Gently return your floating leg back down to the mat. Hands can come down to your sides. And there you have it. Thank you for joining me for episode 2 of the Foundations of Yoga series. If you have any suggestions or recommendations for what you would like to see covered in episode 3, please let me know. We can cover anything from breathwork, poses, to what yoga is all about. Let me know what you'd like to see. Thanks.